Welcome. This is the training video for the syringe pump. I have 4 different models of syringe pumps, but they all function exactly the same way and they all work the same way. So I'm just going to show you basically how to use one of them, and it will be relevant for all 4 of them. So I'm just going to quickly show you all 4 of them so you can get a look at them. This is the first model. This is the 360 Infuser. It says up here at the top. Just take a look at it really quick. This is the 360 Infuser. The next one that I have is a Prefusor Basic. Again, on a lot of these pumps, all these pumps have the same basically buttons. It has basically an on and off button and then a start and stop button. So just looking at them, here's the Prefusor Basic model as well. On the back of the pump, there's some instructions on how to use it. So we'll go ahead and look at the next one. This is the next one. This is the Mini Infuser 150. And again, I know these pumps all look differently, but they basically function the same. These last two will show you individually so you can see they are different for starting and stopping. Have little instructions on the back of them. And the last one right here, this is the Mini Infuser 300 XL. So this is very similar to the blue one that you just saw. So we'll go look at these two last. Let's begin with the Prefusor Basic. So the Prefusor Basic and the 360 Infuser are going to function exactly the same. So let's start with the Prefusor Basic. So both of these battery pumps require batteries. They require 4 C batteries. So I have 4 C batteries here for me. How you install the batteries is you open the battery door, and how to do that is you slide the battery door open. Very easy. It just slides right open and then slides closed. So I'm going to slide it open, and you can see right away we have a graphic in here that describes which way the batteries go. So they are telling you to put them the pointy side up. So they all go into the pump just like so. Pointy side up, just slide it on in, slide it on in. All 4 batteries in there. And then to give the door closed, you got to give the battery a little push. There's a spring in there basically pushing the batteries up. So you give it a little push with your thumb, start sliding the door until it catches the top of the pump, and then slide it all the way. And the pump has turned on. It's sensed the batteries are put into it and it's turned itself on. So the next thing I want to show you about the pump is loading the syringe. So loading the syringe in this pump is very easy. So what you're going to do is you're going to pull this portion up. And when I pull up just a little bit to this far, we're hitting this tapping. You can't slide this around. If you give it a little bit more of a pull up, and I'm doing it with both my fingers now, I'm pushing with my thumb, so I'm pulling it up a little bit more. I'm really just pulling it up more, pull it up some more, and it can slide. It freely slides. So once you pull that up, this freely slides around on here. So if I'm pulling up a little bit, it will not slide. It will not slide on its own. You have to give it a little bit of a pull and push down with your thumb. So I'm pushing down with my thumb, lifting with my fingers, and it is now sliding around on the pump. So you're going to slide it around. You want to slide this to where the syringe is at. So I'm going to get my syringe here. So here is my syringe. I'm going to go ahead and leave the extension on there. You're going to need an extension with these normally. So the first part of loading the syringe into the pump is to load in the So the syringe will need to be, usually there'll be some medication in the syringe. Pardon for me a second. So let's just pretend that there is 30 milliliters in the syringe. Now we have a syringe, 30 milliliters of fluid in here, ready to go for the infusion. So there are 2 important pieces of information to keep in mind when loading the syringe into place. So you begin by loading into this bottom portion first, this bottom clamp. So what you do is you go ahead and lift this clamp up, and I'm just going to get you a different angle on it. So this basically, you just lift it up. It's a little claw thing that holds the syringe into place. So you're going to lift that up and place the syringe into here. So the part to pay attention to is there's a little groove. So what I'm putting is I'm putting the syringe flange into this little groove. And I'm going to give you a better angle so you can see this little flange right here needs to go in this groove. If you have it like this is incorrect and it'll slide around. So it's this flange goes into this groove right here. So this is incorrect, it'll slide around. What you want to do is you want to put it into that, so it is sealing into that, not sealing, but holding onto that part there. So you can see the flange is in that little groove right there. So that is the correct way to put that in there. It's very important you do that. It will not work if you put that in there incorrectly. If it's in there like this, it will not work correctly. It will just slide around. So you have to make sure that the flange is inside the little securement area. So that is holding into place. That's the first portion. So the second part is loading the top part onto the syringe. So this is relevant to the sliding part. So you want to slide this into position where it needs to go. So you're going to slide it so it holds onto the syringe. So basically, I'm going to get in position and then show you how it goes. So I'm getting in a position right now. So once it's in position, what you want to make sure is that the syringe goes into this little groove as well. There's another groove right here, and that the top part needs to go into it. So as you can see here, I am now getting it into there right now. So that is now on that syringe. You see it's this piece right here. So you want to make sure that that is secured onto that. So I'll just take it off again and just for an example show you. So if you were to do this, I'm trying to think, there really isn't too much of a wrong way to do it. You have to get in that groove to get into place. But the end of the syringe goes into that groove just like so. So it just rests into place like this. And this part pushes this way, so it's not as important that the groove is in there. It needs to be in there, but if this part is incorrect, it'll just push the syringe. It won't actually push the medication through the syringe. So that is basically how that latches into place. So that latches into here, that latches into here. You can give it just a little move around. It isn't securely into place. So let's go ahead and look at, the camera there. Let's look at the programming for this pump. So currently, the pump always defaults to this setting. Here is your dose completion in minutes, or your completion in minutes, your time. So it always defaults onto 30 is what it always defaults onto. So this is basically saying that when you start the pump, it's going to take 30 minutes to give the syringe. And normally you'll get the information of how long the infusion needs to be. I keep hitting my camera with that syringe, it's not in a good spot. Normally you will get the information of how long each syringe needs to be. So if it's over 30 minutes, you're already set to 30 minutes, you're good to go. If it's 20 minutes, you're gonna change it to 20 minutes. If it's 40 minutes, you're gonna change it to 40. So how you change it is with this up and down arrow. So you press this up arrow and you go up to 40 minutes. So this pump doesn't come pre-programmed. You have to do some manual programming, but that is as simple as the programming is. So let's just say it was 20 minutes, you go down to 20 minutes. And it always resets back to 30 when you turn it on and off, and you have to change it to it per infusion. So we set this to 20 minutes. We've got the syringe loaded into place. At this point, if there's any priming involved, you want to prime before you put the syringe into place so that there is no priming with the pump. As you can see, there's no priming on this. You have to manually prime the syringe, manually prime the extension, which with the syringe is very easy. You're just pushing down on the plunger a little bit until it gets primed. So once everything's primed, you want to prime the syringe, get the patient hooked up, get it loaded into the syringe pump, get it programmed, and then you can go ahead and start it. And I'm just going to go ahead and start it. And we're off and running. And you can see, if you could see, this is actually, it's moving down very slowly. I don't think you can see it because of it's going to take 20 minutes, but it is, and you can hear it running as well. So we know this is successfully running right now. Currently the start light is flashing, so we know it has been started. You know from the sound as well, but you know that the start light is flashing. So if we stop it again really quick, there is no light flashing anymore. So that's mostly, we also have a flashing over here, so you know that it's successfully started. And that is about as much as you need to know for this pump. It has an alarm, so the only alarm for this pump, besides low battery is self-explanatory. If the battery is low, it'll alarm at you. And once the infusion is complete, once it is done, it'll say infusion is complete and alarm at you. What this alarm means there's an occlusion. There's some blockage down the line. So let's just say, for an example, for this situation, on this line, there is this clamp on here. If this clamp was done up, at some point the pump's gonna go, hey, I'm having an occlusion, and it's gonna start alarming. I think right now I don't have any liquid in the syringe, so it's not pushing anything. So it may take a moment to do that. Also, it's running at a slow rate. If I was to turn it all the way up, it would know this a little quicker. So if I continue to leave this clamped, at some point it's going to alarm. It's going to say, hey, I'm alarming. And that's basically the only thing that it alarms about. If there's an occlusion down the line. And that can be caused by many things. A clamp that was left on, the patient's line being blocked up, or just a tubing being twisted or kinked. So I'm going to go ahead and look at the next pump, the 360. So let's go ahead and stop this. And I'm just going to show you that pump really quick because so you can see the similarities that it has with this one. So I'm going to go ahead and take the syringe off of this one and go through this next one pretty quickly. So again, this one does have an on button and an off button. So when you put the batteries in, if it doesn't turn on, you can turn it on manually or turn it off manually. So I'm just going to turn it on really quick. As you can see, it will reset back to 30. So we'll go ahead and turn it off and take the batteries out. Batteries come out very easily. Okay, so for this pump, I wanted to show you the batteries on this one because when you turn it over, you're saying, where's my battery compartment? What's going on here? This one has a little different, just a little rubber protective piece on the bottom to help keep it a little more protected. It just comes right off. Has a little latch that holds it onto there, not a latch, but a little piece of plastic holds it onto there, but it just slides right off, and it's just solely there to help protect the pump when it's sitting up like this and not get banged around as much. So you slide that off, and then same thing with the battery door. So you've got the same little diagram for positive up, pointy side up, and then same thing where you give it a little press, slide the door closed, go ahead and put it back in its little rubber foot. And on the front of the pump, you can see it's basically the same thing. So I'm going to turn it on. You can look at it's got the programming, defaults to 30 minutes, the same thing. The time changes the same way. As you can see it there, up to 40. It has the same alarms, attention. And this one, it says attention. This one said alarm. This one says attention. It's the same thing. If there's an occlusion, it'll alarm attention. Otherwise, it has the low battery and infusion complete. And then if we wanted to, if we had a syringe in there, the other one said start, this one says infuse. That's the same thing. So once you're ready to start it, you go ahead and press that and it'll start. And let's go ahead and put the syringe in there. I think it may be unhappy there's no syringe. So let's just put this back to 30 and load this in the same way that I was showing you before. So first part is it's got the same little syringe holder here. So I'm putting it into place. The same little flange right here. And then this one goes over to here and locks into place the same way. Whoops, I'm showing the wrong part. And then you can go ahead and, it's gonna hit my camera again, infuse it. So it knew that there was no syringe in there and it was not letting me start it because there was no syringe. So once I successfully put the syringe in there, I can start it again. So let's go ahead and stop this. And that's all the demonstration I want for this pump. Let's take a look at the other two syringe pumps. So the other two syringe pumps, very similar to the way they're functioning. On the bottom of them is where the battery door is. So same thing with the other one. Let me take my batteries out of this pump so I can use them for this one. So same thing with this pump. Go ahead and slide it open. There is no little graphic on this pump, so you just have to know pointy side up. You can always remember pointy side up. Same 4C batteries. We do that. So for this pump again, we're just going to pretend that we've got 30 milliliters of formula in there, or sorry, medication. So we go ahead and same thing with this one. So when you first slide it up, it's not moving. It stays secure. Give it a little more press and it freely slides up and down the pump. So you want to slide it all the way up at first and you want to load the syringe in there. So this one, a little bit basically the same thing. It's got a little clamp thing. You can lift it up kind of anywhere. I'm lifting it up on both sides. It's basically spring loaded and it, holds it into place. So I'm gonna go ahead and lift that up and then put the syringe into it. So same thing with this one. When you're putting the syringe into it, it has the same little channel. It's a little more pronounced on this one. It's much larger, so you can really get a good look at that on this one. So it goes into there just like so, latches into place. This is now secured into here. It does not slide up and down, so you know that is correct. And the next thing is to go ahead and secure the actual syringe. So I'm pulling this all the way down, pulling it down. See here on the groove, it is now in place right there. So this pump, basically it is dependent on the amount is how long it takes. It runs at a constant rate and tells you via how much is in here. So this is 30 milliliters. It's at 25 minutes to complete it. So if it was more milliliters, it'll take 35 minutes. If it's less, it'll take shorter. This is predetermined by the pharmacy. We don't use this pump as much as the other ones. This is if we're low on the other pumps, they'll send this one out and they'll have to do the initial calculations to get the right timing on it. So for this syringe pump, you just load it in here and you go. So I've loaded this in here. It's gonna take 25 minutes. I'm ready to go ahead and turn it on. And you can see it is now blinking and fusing. And if I'm gonna be quiet for a moment, you can hear it running. And that is running, and I can see the plunger is moving down very slowly, but at some point after 25 minutes, it'll go all the way down to here. It will stop, and then it'll start alarming with the infusion complete. Right now, it actually won't alarm. It has this on with alarm and just on. If I did on with alarm, now once it is done, it will, keep hitting that with the syringe. Once it is done, it will alarm and say infusion complete. So same thing with this pump. It has the other two alarms, attention and low battery. Attention means there's a down occlusion. Low battery, there's a low battery. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this pump off. and show you the next one. So slide the syringe up. Okay. And the last one was this barred mini fuser. So this one functions exactly like this blue one. I'm taking my batteries out of there. Spring loaded, careful. Functions exactly the same. So slide it across right here. And there's no little diagram for this one, so you have to just know pointy side up. All right, so same thing with this one. As you can see, it has the same little top thing. Squeeze firmly, you squeeze it to move it around, and it loads in the same way. So let's set this back to 30. It did just 1 milliliter, it looks like. And go ahead and put this into place. So same thing with this one. This lifts and holds the syringe into place. So I'm gonna lift this up, set the syringe into place with the flange in the groove, and that's very pronounced on this pump as well. So make sure it's not sliding around. I'm trying to slide the syringe around, it's staying secure. And we're now doing this piece to move it into place. So a little extra squeeze and it slides. Right here it won't slide, extra squeeze and it slides. This one's very pronounced to know that the flange is in there, in the little groove right there. So same thing with this pump. We have the on, the off, the on with alarm. And same thing with this one. Currently it's 25 minutes, so 30 mLs is going to be 25 minutes. So let's go ahead and turn it on. And currently we know that it's this 25 minutes. It's on this M here for, 25 minutes. My finger's in the way. And that is mostly it. Same thing with the attention. Attention means you have a downstream occlusion, blockage down the line somewhere. Low battery alarms. This one again, once it's finished, it will alarm and say, hey, I'm finished with the infusion. And that completes the video for these syringe pumps. Thank you, and we'll see you for the next one.